said. And this is the webinar, what is a marketing funnel and why do you need one? So you're not on the wrong presentation on this particular occasion. So I want you to imagine this. Imagine that you've turned up to a first date. You know a little bit about the person that you're about to meet, you're a bit nervous, and you sit down. But soon your hope fades and your heart sinks because they're just talking about themselves. They're talking about subjects that you don't care about, and they're taking things a bit too quickly. In fact, it isn't long before they whip out a ring and propose to you. Now, a lot of businesses are doing an equivalent of this in their marketing by not understanding who they're talking to, maybe having a very blunt or flat funnel so that somebody doesn't get there, or they feel their prospect doesn't get the opportunity to know, like, and trust them. They're providing a proposal way too quickly without understanding what matters to the person who they're engaging with. The benefit of a marketing funnel is it helps you to formalize and guide prospects through a customer journey. So it means that you can take things at a pace and actually have some kind of control over the customer journey that's being had, but in a conscious way, so things aren't taken too fast and you don't scare anybody away. The way that this is done is through compelling content, enticing landing pages, and impactful ads. The marketing funnel empowers businesses to showcase value and drive customers. This is a lot easier if you understand what value people appreciate. And by utilizing the funnel, marketing teams can plan, measure, and optimize efforts to attract, engage, and convert prospects. It puts a formal process on kind of what might already be happening. So what are the benefits of a marketing funnel? The difference that a marketing funnel can make is to actually manage your customer journey, one that is already happening, and how long that needs to be completed depends on your business, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It also allows you to automate large amounts of that journey rather than customizing or chasing people around. You can automate using tools like a CRM, an email marketing tool, elements of your website, any kind of forms, and also you can outsource elements, because once you know what's there or what needs to be done, it means that it doesn't all need to be done by you, so you can actually delegate areas of it, making it efficient and scalable ultimately, which I'll come on to after this point. It also allows you to optimize, because with an awful lot of automation and processes, you get the opportunity to put measurements in place, so you can see how people move along the customer journey down the marketing funnel, and you can get measurements for different points in the journey. You can identify opportunities to improve things, and you can make it better and better and better. And the last point is that a good marketing funnel allows you to scale your intake of new customers. So once you know that your funnel is working well for you, you can try and put more people into the beginning of it, hopefully converting more, and it will allow you to confidently say that you could grow your company. It means that you feel more confident getting new team members on board, or investing in things that you may have less confidence in if you don't have something like a good marketing funnel in place. It can feel like you're hoping that things will just continue the way that they are. So do you already have one? If you already do some marketing, which people have filled in the form, and it looks like most people have, of some sort, then you might have elements of a marketing funnel, but it might be leaky, for example. Or it may be that if you haven't gone through the process of setting up a funnel, actually consciously being aware of the customer journey, that you have a funnel that's a little bit too flat, or where there might be areas that could really do quite a bit of work. So I'd say that you probably have elements of a marketing funnel, but if you haven't consciously gone through the process, then you don't have one. But you might not be far off. And by the end of this webinar, you should have a better idea of what needs to be done in order for you to have one that you're really, really confident in. The measurement part of having a marketing funnel is really crucial, because it allows you to feel like you have some kind of agency in what might feel at the moment to people a black art or a dark art. When people talk about marketing, they often, they might be referring to elements that are a little bit more difficult to measure. They might be thinking about your PR elements, which can feel a little bit there's an element of luck, but there are so many measurements out there. It's just a case of setting things up. So examples we have included in our Google Analytics webinar, which talks about not only Google Analytics, but also Clarity, which is a brilliant tool to see how people are behaving on your website. You can actually watch people. It's a little bit addictive though, I will warn you. And integrate that with Google Analytics so you can see how people are behaving on the site. You can set up UTM tracking links, which means that even something offline like a QR code or a link on a brochure can be included in your kind of Google Analytics work as well. And there are a lot of other tools out there like Bitly and everything else. So measurement, or trying to put measurements in place at different parts in your marketing funnel, makes a big difference to your ability to do these things. And what we sometimes find is that in order to have a measurement, you also need to put something in place. So if you don't have a form on your website, for example, you might struggle to track contacts. The other thing is if you don't have a CRM in place where the question is asked and added into your CRM, how did you hear about us? Then and that's one of the most crucial things, is making sure that whenever you get a new lead in saying, how did you hear from us, and making sure that it's recorded in a CRM that's used, those kind of things make a really big difference to your ability to optimize that funnel. So here are some example scenarios with different businesses. It may be that your marketing funnel at the moment has, or sorry, the kind of marketing that you do at the moment might be a little bit fragmented. So it might be that you've got a website and you frequently add blog posts to it that are designed to fulfill SEO benefits. So the focus is around getting people from search engines onto your website. And at this point, they're probably inquiring, or they want some information, not necessarily about your service, just some general information. And that's the thing with a lot of SEO work, is it is designed to answer these initial questions that people have got. But then what happens after that? Do you get a high bounce rate on blogs, which is completely normal, by the way? If you do get a high bounce rate, then that means that you're not pulling people or suggesting that somebody might want to engage with you further down or further down the line. So it might be that you're doing really well with some work, but actually you then need to give somebody a really good reason to continue to be in contact with you, maybe via an email campaign or something like that. It might be to sign up to a newsletter, to follow your other resources that are helpful for people like them. And that would help drag them kicking and screaming, entice them into that funnel to continue to engage with you, and maybe at some point advance further into the funnel. So funnels or marketing funnels are all kind of based on marketing models along this line. This is the classic AIDA marketing model, but there are so many other models that are really, really similar. What they essentially do is to follow the process that customers go through in their journey. The first stage being attention, where they might have an awareness of an issue. So that's where SEO blogs, for example, are great. But it's also, if there isn't something to entice them to continue to, like I say, engage with you, then they can just bounce and maybe go to a competitor. So there's this initial stage. And I'm going to use kind of a weight loss example because it's something that is quite a broad interest. So my attention or my awareness, sometimes this attention stage is actually called awareness. I might have awareness that I've got a wedding coming up, or a big party, or a big event that I want to go to. Maybe I saw a photo of myself at a recent holiday and I just think, do you know what, I need to do something, I want to change my lifestyle or something like that. At this point, I've got loads of options ahead of me. I've got quite a broad range. There's gyms, there's exercise classes, there's online, there's diets, there's so many different options, and there's nutritional stuff, there's meal replacement. That's how broad the market is at that point. And the kind of articles that I might be interested in is the best rated nutritional plans, or it might be about yoga versus another one, or it might be about a different form of exercise, like yoga versus strength training, or the benefits of keto versus something else. So this is how broad the interest is at this point. And it can be great to get somebody onto your website who's having this broad a consideration. That's absolutely fine. But what you want to do is to then give them a point where they go down to interest, where they go, right, do you know what? I am going to be more active. That's what I'm going to do. I obviously need to eat more healthily as well. But my focus is going to be on getting more active. I think there's mental health benefits for me as well. Just need to find the best way to do it. So then at that point, I'm going to be moving to a point where I need to get more information about, maybe I decide I'm going to join a gym, or I'm going to start attending classes locally. That's where I start to get some more information together about prices, about convenience, about that kind of thing. So how practical it is and how it actually works with my lifestyle. So at that point, I want to become informed about exactly what the options are. And as interest and desire, they often they merge, because it's where somebody becomes more active. And this is also when somebody will be interested in much large amounts of information. They will be happy to read guides. Comparison charts are brilliant at this point. Trials or video, sorry, not trials, that's action. Video walkthroughs, demos, that sort of thing. Maybe with a gym, it would be a come along for a taster class, or come along for a tour to the gym, or something like that. That's the kind of thing that would be great during the interest and desire phases. Then we move down to action, which is more around intent and actually deciding I'm going to do something about it. So that is maybe when you might give them a free trial. It might be when somebody signs up to maybe download a guide or something like that. But the point with this whole action phase is it isn't necessarily conversion, because conversion is really when you get into a sales funnel, which I will refer to in a little bit. We have got the sales expert on the call with us. Julie's here from the Sales Ace. So I'm going to compare a marketing funnel to a sales funnel, and I also would welcome any input from Julie at that point. So this action phase is really, it might be the first point where you hear from somebody in earnest. The rest of the funnel, they might be going about their own business, kind of trying to find information on the slide, in part because they don't necessarily want to get involved with a salesperson. They don't necessarily want to be bugged by you or anything else. They want a little bit of privacy to kind of get to know what's possible and have a private consideration. But action, this might be the first time you hear from them, and that's actually really more where there are the bookings to have a look around the gym in this example. And then retention. Now, the AIDA model is normally AIDA. R isn't on it, which makes it a bit more ADAR, like a pirate saying it, or a farmer. Depends on how, whether you feel that's more pirate or farmer. But this is a very important stage to consider, because if you want to encourage loyalty, it can happen by accident because you just have a great product, product or service, which is brilliant. But there are also ways that you can encourage loyalty and brand advocacy, where you're saying, okay, if you enjoy our product, please can you give us a testimonial that then loops back round into your future marketing materials, but also introduces to people. Here's a free coupon for any of your friends to join you at the gym, for example, or to extend the same offer that you had to anybody else that you know, but also for them to become a repeat customer, which is really the name of the game. So this is when they're engaged and they are all your efforts in the previous stages pay off. So here's the stages and the state. Now, what does this look like in real life? What does this look like as far as your marketing materials are concerned? I've kind of gone over this as we've gone through, or have touched upon it. But in the attention phase, this is where you kind of need to get in front of people who may have no awareness of your existence at all. So it can involve some outbound stuff like direct mail, some PR, and advertising and events and stuff like that. It also involves, it could be digital as well as non-digital advertising. SEO is also helpful at this point, although what you've got is somebody looking for something related to what you do. So this is probably a little bit more of an aware person. the difference, or one of the big differences between any kind of digital advertising and SEO is that sometimes, I'm not sure if any of you've seen it, but I imagine you have done, where I'll see a product and I thought, I never even knew that existed, but I really want it in my life because it's popped up in my Pinterest feed or in Instagram or whatever else. Now, that's the benefit of targeted digital advertising, is that you can get in front of your ideal client or customer before they even know that that this product or the service that you have exists. That alone will solve your problem. Whereas if you're relying on SEO, you're relying on someone being a little bit more aware. But also, if you get in front of somebody with some digital advertising before they're very aware of it, then none of your competitors are doing it unless they're doing an ad as well, which you can't stop. Whereas once somebody becomes aware enough of wanting a solution to the problem, they're seeing other people in search results as well. So those are the kind of the distinguishing elements of SEO versus your digital ads or direct mail, where you're getting in front of somebody, you're waiting for them to become more aware. When we look at interest and desire, I've already said that these kind of stages do interrelate. It's where the relationship's being built and people need information. Now, how much information you might need to provide at this point depends on your customer, and there are a few different elements that will certainly impact that. But organic social media helps them to get to know, like, and trust you and keep in touch with you. The issue is with this stage is it might be that someone becomes aware of you years before they actually need or are ready to buy from you. So these elements of the funnel can be really important for just making sure that they stay in touch with you, they're aware, and that when they finally need you or your service or your product, you're the person that they think of, because you've just been dripping away for them over all of the years or months or days, and they've in that time been given the opportunity to get to know, like, and trust you. So organic social media can be great if they continue to see you in their feed and in their contact, although you can't always rely on the algorithms alone. So I would encourage different types of marketing, like email marketing, content marketing, and making sure that your website user experience is really positive no matter where somebody is in the funnel. So I'm going to make a bit of a distinction here on content marketing. I have got a slide about it, but if you do blogs, you've probably got an element of content marketing in there, and social media does come under. But really what content marketing does is it's marketing built around maintaining a good customer journey, thinking about the different things that your customer is thinking about and then providing them that information. It really works alongside any kind of marketing funnel really well. And an element of it might touch on SEO, it might touch on, these different areas, but that's what content marketing is for, really, is building content around a great marketing funnel. Email marketing, the fact is, if you've got organic social media, then that's great, but you are reliant on the algorithms of whatever social media platform it is that you're on to make it so that your clients continue to see you. Whereas with email marketing, if you've got somebody's email, then you can email them, and if you send 100 emails, then 100 emails should be received. If you have 100 people who follow you on any kind of organic social media channel, when you send out a post, 100 people will not necessarily see that post, because you're reliant on the algorithm. So the email marketing does just give you an opportunity to have a bit more control over that relationship. However, not every business, it's not appropriate for every business, because not everybody wants to hear from you every month, and you might not have enough content to share. So I do appreciate that it's not appropriate for everybody, but if you can, it's a great tool. And then your website user experience. The reason why this is here is because if somebody does come back, and I don't want anybody to be assuming, oh yeah, people just keep on coming back to my website. It doesn't always happen. The way to encourage repeat visits to your site is if there are resources that people want to come back and use, and whether that's appropriate, and making sure that it's easy enough for people to see it. So a great example would be a blog on a website. Now, I'm not actually the biggest fan of the word blog. It feels like what teenage girls used to do in the 90s, blogging about their emotions. But that's the function that's there. For most of you who might be running businesses that serve other businesses or service-based businesses, a lot of the time it's more likely to be insights. Sometimes it's news, but not always. And that, turning a blog into a news page when the vast majority of the stuff on there isn't news isn't helpful either. But the function is really, really valuable. And what you can do is you can change the categories. You can filter content by categories, so that instead of reviewing a blog in chronological order, which is what most websites look like, instead of showing things in chronological order, you can display things based on the subject area. And if you want to see an example of this in action, then you can go to our website, which there'll be a link to at the end, along with all the other resources, if you don't already know it. Because the fact is, if I wrote or if we put up a post 2 years ago, it's probably just as valuable now as it was then. So why is it buried deep in the chronological order of the site? So that's where actually reviewing the customer journey of your website through your website is really, really helpful, and making sure that the information that they need at different stages is easy to find. So you could instead, in our example, we have blogs that are filtered according to talking about audience, or talking about analytics, or talking about email marketing, so that somebody can go straight to all the blogs on that subject. So then we move on to the action stage, where for a lot of people, their action, or the only thing that they've got in place, is asking somebody to contact them. They've got no structured reason to take action. And I'd encourage you to think of a different for a way to do this, because if you're just asking for or expecting for your prospect to get in contact with you, it could be asking a bit much. It could be putting a bit too much onus on them, because they might feel like, well, where am I going? So the kind of thing that you could offer is an assessment. So some people offer their time. If you're in a a service-based business, a business-to-business business, then a great thing can be giving a little bit of your time just to kind of talk through a surface level review. This can be very similar to the new business process that you've already got in place. So it doesn't really mean that you're changing things very much, but what you are doing is providing structure, managing expectations, and showing what's in it for them, so that they've got this real good reason to get in contact, where even if they don't end up working with you, they get something from the time. The reality is that maybe once they've spoken to you, they will have more confidence in you and your abilities. They'll get the opportunity to get to know, like, and maybe trust you. And so it's kind of a win-win, as long as it's genuinely useful. The other thing that you could do is to provide a trial, if that's relevant for you. We offer a free marketing funnel assessment, which you'll get a link to at the end as well. Website reviews, social media reviews, that sort of thing are the kind of things that we provide, where you might get projects at the end. It really depends on how large an average client is for you, how much time it's worth you giving to this, and what's appropriate for your industry. But I'd encourage you to put some kind of structure around that initial offer. And then retention and loyalty, anything that you can do to encourage that is great. The word behind my face is feedback survey. That's to put in a formal structure to provide a review, so that it actually happens, because it can be really difficult and not particularly British to actually ask for somebody to put into words, the feedback or the positive things that you've been doing for them. So try and formalize a review process that doesn't necessarily depend on you to ask for feedback. Some people get a virtual assistant, for example, to do that, run that whole process for them, so that it's not them getting in contact and it happens automatically. Make sure that customer service is also looked after. What this means here is making sure that there's a positive experience for everybody, because that's really what that's one of the things that encourages loyalty. But also just offering a really good service means that you're more likely to retain people. And what can you do to encourage people to share your services and your good work with other people? So that's kind of things that you can put in place there, and you can track it, of course. So going back to the content marketing that I talked about before, and the relationship with relationships. the content marketing, I love this quote, is like a first date. If you only talk about yourself, there won't be a second one. This also relates to websites generally, because there's an awful lot of websites where the opening sentence is about yourself or the business rather than the customer and the benefits and everything else. So consider what that first touch point is that your customers have. And are you talking about yourself, like that person in the first date that I talked about, or are you really nailing the benefit that you provide to this customer? There's also a really good, this is one that I think Julie will agree with, because we say it that often. All things being equal, this is a quote from The Go-Giver, which is a great book about kind of referrals and sales and building almost a magnetic situation with new customers coming to you because they or being referred to you. So all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. A good marketing funnel and good content marketing will help build this feeling that somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you before they even talk to you. Because they get an idea of who you are because of the content that you provided, whether that's because there's videos, there's plenty of information out there, they feel closer to you as a brand on autopilot without you needing to actually speak to them very much. So that's one of the jobs of a good marketing funnel. So how do you implement a marketing funnel? There is some technology that needs to be involved, which we'll talk about in a minute, but the first thing to do is to review your current activities and where they fall in this funnel. So are you doing really well at the top of the funnel, but actually not doing quite so well in the middle? Do you feel like you need to formalize that conversion process? Could you do more to encourage repeat customers and everything else? Identify the leaks and opportunities. If you think about your customer journeys or the different ways that people might go through your different areas, then that would be a really helpful thing to do. And then you can plan the marketing materials that you need to add in to actually plug those leaks and help with different stages. You need to also, once those things are in place, make sure you add measurements and provide feedback. So don't just add the measurements, look at them on a regular basis. I'd always say to diarise how often you might review any kind of measurements you've got in place. Otherwise, they will just sit there taking data and the realizations won't be in place. So make a decision about how frequently you're going to actually look at how well any part of that funnel is doing. And then make sure that you review measurements and improve things, maybe add different variations, do A/B split testing, all of which are subjects that we've talked about in our email, the Ideal Marketing Minute. Now, how might this differ from business to business? It's going to be dependent on a few things. If you are a business serving other businesses, then what you might find is, and this does depend on whether it's a service or product, but you might find that you need to be more hands-on and more involved than a B2C situation. So a B2C product, a lot of the time, or a B2C business, a lot of the time, you could be totally marketing funnel dependent and never really need to speak to a customer. Everything could be on autopilot, but you are looking at probably a lower value per product or per sale. With the B2B relationships, a lot of the time you're dealing with larger projects, larger amounts of money. So there will need to be elements where you get more involved because trust needs to be built, partly because of the commitment that might be involved. So services versus product. With services, there's no tangible element at the end of it, or there might be some sort of proof with measurements, but the trust is so much more important for that reason. So that's why you might need to be more involved, or they may need to see more of you. But that doesn't mean that there can't be resources and materials that help to build that element. I've referred to videos before. It's a really powerful way of doing it, and actually probably should have been on one of the other graphics, but graphics really helped. Sorry, videos really help with that sort of thing. It also is very highly dependent on the cost and the commitment, and not just the initial cost, or whether there's a repeat cost. So what is it that's going to make people feel comfortable with the cost and the commitment that they're going to have to make to you? The funnel might have to be bigger and more involved depending on those factors. And I've already said, is it repeat or one-off? If it's a one-off purchase, then they might not need as much evidence. They might not need as much of the relationship building up versus if it's repeats, but also how tied in are they? How much flexibility have they got to that situation? The very last thing to consider, which has a really big impact on your marketing funnel, is your market position. So for this, and this is a really nifty little tool, it's the next slide. It's a Bowman strategic clock, which I'll show you in a minute. So I've talked about the different materials that you might build, and if anyone's ever seen me speak before, then you'll know that a very important thing for us is understanding your customer, because your funnels are, and the likelihood of your funnel being successful is really highly dependent on you speaking to the concerns of your customer at different points, to understand what they're thinking about right from the beginning and how you can help them feel confident. Now, some of those things are going to involve speaking to them, but some of them you probably know, because if you've been working with a customer group for long enough, you've got to know them, you know. So the stages that you go through in order to get to know your customer, the first stage is segmentation. What this means is taking all the available people that you could possibly do work with and segmenting the market into groupings. Now you decide where the segments are. If you're in a B2B industry, then it's going to be, it might be based on company size or their industry or the job role that they take, or the size of, you know, the size of the organization based on employees or turnover or whatever else. With B2C, it might be based on their gender, their family situation, their work situation, anything like that. So you can segment based on demographics and maybe some psychographics as well if you want to. After you've segmented them, you need to identify who it is exactly that is the best, who are the best people to support for your business goals. It might be based on how easy it is to talk to them, how easy it is to do business with them, how easy it is to, I'm talking about easiness like at the moment quite a lot, but you know, how quickly can you convert them into a sale, how many people might need to be involved in it, which groups do you also enjoy working with, who are easy to work with. So you can do targeting based on that. You can pick segments that you think, yeah, I'm going to target this group. This is not the same as niching. With niching, you are picking one of those segments and saying, I'm going after these people and nobody else. This is the only segment I'm going to work with moving forward. Targeting, if you do decide to niche in the future, targeting can be a great first step, because you can test out a market or you can test out a segment without jumping in with both feet. So with targeting, you could set up campaigns. So this is something that we do regularly for clients, where we might recognize, right, well, these are all the different people that we could do business with, but these are the priorities. So we're going to continue to do marketing for everybody else, but we're going to set up some campaigns that are on LinkedIn, for example, that are targeting the people who are the right company size, the right position and everything else, and we'll get something in front of them. Positioning is all about perception, and it's making sure that your company is positioned in your marketplace in a way differently from everybody else. And it's the video that's going out this week or went out last week is about positioning. But I'll share Bowman's strategic clock, which will help you to understand your position. The fact is that you are positioned somewhere in your marketplace already, because your clients or potential clients perceive you to be sat somewhere. The more awareness you can have of it, the more control you can have as well. So this might seem a lot to look at first, and I'm going to explain to you where different supermarkets fit, to just kind of explain how this works in real terms. So number one is a position I think everyone can understand quite easy: low prices and low added values. This is the no frills brand that you might have seen in Quick Save, or I certainly did, where it's not just low price, it's also low added value. Whereas if you move to more like two, then we're dealing with maybe the Aldis of the world, where they're low price, but you wouldn't necessarily say it's rubbish, it's just low price. Now, Aldi has taken more of a move towards number three, partly helped by their centre aisles. Not that I love Aldi or anything like that, but they've got some really good products out there, as well as being quite reasonably priced. So I actually have this fish finger burger. It's a fish burger. I don't know why it's called, because there's no fish fingers, but a fish burger that I get from Aldi. They're delicious. I can't get them anywhere else. They also do some other things that I can't get anywhere else. So I will go to Aldi rather than Lidl for that reason, because there's stuff there that is just completely unique. I'm sure it's somewhere else, but I probably haven't looked that hard. Anyway, that's hybrid. Then we're moving through to differentiation, which is providing something that's different, for lack of any other kind of explanation. So differentiation and focused differentiation is when you're offering something that's hard to get, but this is really about perception. With focused differentiation, it's more like to be luxury, high priced. And the problem that you've got is that you can very easily then slip into number 6. So with focused differentiation, this is more like Waitrose and Ocado. But what you could very easily slip into is the risky high margins, where there's not really where the benefit to the customer is really about perception. And there's loads of luxury brands where you'd argue this, where you think, well, you know, based on what I think of this brand, yeah, it's worth the extra money, but people might start to question it once they can get something of pretty much the same quality, very similar somewhere else. So it's a risky position to be in. And 6, 7, and 8 are the kind of areas of doom. You don't want to be here because the idea is that it's doomed to failure. You could move yourself back around to different parts of the clock. The only situation where monopoly pricing really works is if you're a location that honestly no one else has got access to. So if you're in an airport, or an airport like a Nero's in an airport, you can charge what you like. Most of the restaurants there do. And you know, or you go into a football, like a sports stadium or something like that, they can charge what they like because you're stopped so that you can't take any other drinks and food in. So that's what they do. That's the only time when monopoly pricing really works. Windows, when it first came out, brought they charged quite a lot for licenses, and once somebody else entered the market providing software that did a very similar thing, they lost their position very quickly and they had to work to change things. So if somebody's sat with monopoly pricing because they offer a product or a service that nobody currently does, they're going to be in trouble once somebody else joins. So anyway, and loss of market share, Woolworths is probably the classic example. Not that was a supermarket. There are a few others, but I can't think of any at the moment because they're gone. Anyway, the point is, where are you in your marketplace? Would you like to be somewhere else? But also, can you map all of your competitors here so that you know where it's taken up? Is everyone else competing on price? Are other people providing something different? Are they providing something really like boutique or not? Because if you want to move your position, if you want to change a position, try and pick somewhere that isn't already crowded, that everybody else isn't already taking up. Be honest with yourself. You could even ask some customers or past customers for a little bit of input. Just say, okay, well, how do you think about these other people? And then move to that place with purpose. Move to that position, and that will be shown in every part of your marketing plan, the way that you show up throughout all of your marketing. If you want to compete on price, just compete on price. If you're going to compete on providing differentiation, then you need to be really clear about what that added value is. So the kind of tools that you're going to need in order to do well with marketing funnels or to set things up, there's some technical expertise here, and we've got Samantha on the call, who's the Mum VA, and she's an absolute expert with this kind of area with the technology. But these are some basics that you definitely need to use, and I've referred to this before. You need a good CRM, and you need to use it, and actually make sure that when you ask the questions about who, you know, where did somebody hear about you, where you know, what made them get in contact with you, why did they then buy from you, you need to get that information. You need to make sure it's plotted in so that you've got the measurement. An email marketing tool might be the same as your CRM, but an email marketing tool would be great if it provides the ability to manage not just a newsletter format, but maybe a email series or an email sequence, which is really good for funnels in particular, because it's taking people down through a journey. A good reason to interact with you, to take action, then is really going to be important, but that's something that can be automated, so people kind of enter into a funnel that then puts the information into your CRM, maybe adds them to your email marketing or a different place in your email marketing as well. And a content plan and resulting content that is designed to build trust as people move forward. Now, I was going to quickly say a couple of words about your marketing funnel versus a sales funnel. With a marketing funnel, really, the point that a marketing funnel finishes is when that first contact or show of interest is made, whereas a sales funnel should start when that contact happens. So they interrelate, because on average they say something on the lines of, on average, somebody gets or has 7 touch points. I think that's way too small. It's probably more like 21 or 35 or something like that. But the fact is that customers will never just have 1 touch point with you, then get in contact, then make a sale. So the reason why this marketing kind of carries on with different material and stuff like that is because it is not as simple as one and done. Even if they've gone so far as making the action or taking the action and is in contact with a salesperson or something like that, your marketing materials continue to do the good job of building that trust. So that's where these kind of things interrelate. A conversion for a marketing person is that lead going into the salesperson. A conversion for a salesperson is the person giving over some money, or signing the contract, or making the commitment to buy. So it can be, that's where the two kind of interrelate more than anything. So what else can you do? I've referred to our marketing funnel assessment. If you've got questions about how your marketing funnel is currently working, then here's the assessment that you can take, and there's all the information here. It will take 5 minutes or less. It's multiple choice questions. It's free, and you get a tailored report at the end, which goes through these stages that I've talked about today. If you want to as well, you can even talk to me afterwards about your results and get any clarification on what it really means for your business. We also have these other resources, which will be in the presentation that we send over. So aside from the marketing funnel assessment, we've got a range of different downloadables and things like that in different areas on our site. The Ideal Marketing Minute, which I have referred to several times here, is a weekly email with a video that's only a minute to watch, and gives you a little bit of asks you 1 key question. And of course, if you do want to talk to me directly, then here's my email, or please do connect with me on LinkedIn.